Hey yo everybody, we are back with another Dragon Ball DAIMA, episode 14 called Taboo. If you're just joining us, top of your screen, you should see a card recommending you to the rest of the DAIMA review should you be interested in my takes. Also, Dragon Ball fans, the DLC for Superhero, the first one, is dropping later this week. We will be covering it on the channel. It comes out January 20th. You should see it up within the next few days after that, so consider hitting subscribe and stick around if you want to see me cover the Dragon Ball Superhero DLC in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Now that out of the way, let's get into today's episode. So, first off, I just want to say that I'm going into today's episode a lot more positive than last week's, because things definitely actually happened. We need to acknowledge that. There was some progress in the plot, more than I even expected, so I'm pleasantly surprised by what we did today. I saw that there were a few dislikes in the last video, understandably so. You know, there's some people who are not going to agree when I'm negative. I don't like to be negative on the channel, and I have to pull that out. But I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm going to speak my mind as I see it. I'm not going to be fake and force positive just to make people like my opinion, but you're always free to disagree with me. And while I do not mind dislikes in the slightest, there were some likes too. I love when you guys support the opinions as well. You're always free to explain why you don't agree. You're always free to comment down below, not for like, you know, being combative. But I also like to see you guys interact with each other too, and see like where you guys stand on your own opinions separately. But I do respond to all comments, so I'm always happy to hear other opinions, and maybe you can change my mind if it happens plenty of times. So that's all to say that I am feeling a lot more better about this episode, but I do not change how I felt about the last one. The last one seemed like filler, real talk, and I've seen that like 100 times. But we're gonna move on from that because this episode tries to make up for that. Let's talk about the good first. I'm not gonna go in order like I've done in previous ones. I'm just gonna talk about the good points and the bad points kind of interchangeably. So let's get into it. So first things first, that is good. We do have new characters introduced. I'm gonna put this in a good and bad category, but we have the Gendarmerie Special Forces. This video should be called the GINYU Force Returns because that is quite literally what they are. I do not mind the reuse of the trope of the Toku Sentai thing. You know, like the Power Rangers inspired posing team trend. It's a classic cliche in anime, especially. It's great. No real hate on that. Like, let's say, the Pride Troopers in Dragon Ball Super. But let me say why I like them better than these guys off first impression. The Pride Troopers are another take on that trend in a very good way. Another take on that cliche. But they are very different at the same time, I would argue. They're good guys, for one. In this case, the Gendarmerie Special Forces, I think they're just a gag. Until I see them fight, I really hope these aren't going to be serious foes that are going to stall us out. But I don't necessarily like them all that much. Let me retract that. I like their personalities, I would say. I do like that, especially because we get a scene later that I really enjoyed at the convenience store. I like their personalities. I don't like the fact that they're all the same demon race of the Gendarmerie. I get why they are. I do. But they just look far too similar. Even though they have different outfits, different bodies, different weapons, it feels a little too similar to me to rock with, because you're comparing their pose. Like, I'm pretty sure the Gendarmerie Force, I should have a picture right in the thumbnail of them. Literally put that beside the GINYU Force. They feel like just a rip-off GINYU Force, not just because of their being the posing special force of the enemy, but the fact that they all look way more bland than the GINYU Force did. So I'm not particularly a fan of that. It apparently does seem to imply that they are pretty weak, though. They don't believe that the heroes have beaten Majin Buu and beaten two Tamagamis. They don't believe it, and the leader is so scared he pissed himself a little bit when he hears that and believes it's serious. They refuse to believe it and apparently are far weaker. So if they end up just being a gag that gets throttled by the main cast, that'd be great. Hell, if they get throttled by the main cast and then Majin Buu and Majin Buu get mad and power up because of it, you'll see why I'm referencing them from the convenience store scene. I'm guessing you all seen the episode. At that point, they could serve their purpose. So I'm not completely hating, but what I don't want is for this to actually be a GINYU Force situation with a beta GINYU Force, like fighting the cast for even a whole episode. It just doesn't feel good, especially because the Gendarmerie have already been painted out to be garbage. Now, if these guys were seriously strong, that would make sense. But remember, it's really hard for anyone here to be seriously strong as it is when it's already established that people can't beat Tamagami. So everyone here should be below Tamagami level. unless there's a power-up like the Evil Eye. We'll get to that in a bit later. Or they were newly created like Majin Ku and Majin Do. I don't see these guys being a threat. I don't see the Gendarmerie being a threat, but it's, you know, it's fun, it's flavorful. We'll take it for now. I just don't want them to take up more time than necessary. They get a fun scene where they trash Goma's palace, they flex their personalities off, and it's, you know, it's funny, it's fun. I do enjoy the whole thing. I will just say that it was an entertaining little scene, and I will put that in relatively the good spot. So then we get to the tunnel thing, and this I'd also put in a good section of what I liked in the episode. So Goku tries to go through the shield because he can't really see how it works, I guess from there is what he meant to say, not that he can't see it. He uses his power pole, it electrocutes him up the power pole, shocks him, he goes falling to his death. Pansy falls over the edge, you know, she's screaming, Goku reaching her hand out, I don't know what she thinks she's going to do. Vegeta and Piccolo are just chilling, they don't give a shit, they're letting him fall to his death, didn't even try. And then we have Neva come out, and Neva is like, well, since I'm here, I may as well air this bitch out. And what he really meant was that he's gonna destroy the shield, because it turns out Neva created the shield. Now, we're at episode 14. I'm curious on you guys' standings. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you still consider Neva to potentially be a bad guy, or do we think he's more solidly in the good guy territory? Me, myself, I'm not willing to trust until the end. I usually, if I'm ever sus of a character, I'm usually suspicious until the very end. But Neva, he created this by his words. Again, his reasoning is that the second Demon World was chaotic. There were brutes from the third and prestigious pricks from the first coming to the second. The Namekians couldn't live in peace, and it's one of the reasons that the Namekians left. Although, if you created the shield, why would they still leave is a fair question, I would say. But he creates the shields, tourism goes down, booyah. But that's a pretty strict means of preventing tourism, like just for the sake of the Namekians. And then if the Namekians were gone, why not remove them, right? So it does seem a little fishy to me, but we'll buy it for now. We'll buy it for now. But it is a really cool scene. It reminds me of like an Ultimate in Final Fantasy. It's one of like the end game spells. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but it creates that little tiny swirl of light, and then it one-shots your entire team. Like, that is, to me, what Neva's move reminds me of. And Piccolo is, you know, shell-shocked. He destroys both the shields, the worlds are open again, and Goku, from light, wakes up as he's falling, and then flies back up himself. Glad to see his homies looking out for him. So, yeah, that was all pretty good scene. It does take quite a bit of time, but it was pretty good. And slowly but surely, they start to realize the portal is open. Degasu can hear the wind blowing, and you know, he's worried that it happened. Arinsu does the same thing, and we see this coming. Now, my favorite scene, I would say, of today is actually the convenience store, because I love Majin Ku and Majin Do and the potential what these characters are going to bring to the story. They meet the Gendarmerie Special Forces, and you know, they're just kids, but they're super impressed by all the snacks they can buy. Super impressed by the snacks they can buy and all that. So they're kind of like flexing, like, hey, you know what? And they decide to be nice. They go ahead and try to buy a whole huge bag of chocolate for Majin Ku and Majin Do. And then, funny enough, as they try to flex on buying all their own snacks, they are now broke. So they give the kids just 2 chocolate bars for the last of their money, still buying them something. And they go off and say, you know, kids should eat snacks anyway, that much. And then they are very grateful. It's adorable that Majin Ku and Majin Do are so, like, just grateful for it, saying thank you, which is why I believe that they are setting up this dynamic between them. The Gendarmerie being defeated being a trigger for Majin Ku or Majin Do going into action seems logical to me. I can see the path that we're setting up with that, so I rock with that, definitely. I rock with that, definitely. Then Arinsu, of course, also detects this change, that the portal is open, which is pretty good. And then final points are that probably not my favorite scene in the episode, but the best thing in the episode, they reach the second tunnel, or the first Demon World, they get out the tunnel. They reach the first Demon World, abandon the ship because it's not holding on in the tunnel, start flying on their own, and the Gendarmerie spot them coming. Goma gets triggered, unleashes the order to destroy them all, and the whole force of the Gendarmerie is attacking. Very reminiscent of the Red Ribbon Army, in the sense where I feel like it's a spectacle. This army is about to get thrashed, but we have multiple people here. I think they're going to get clapped. I think the Gendarmerie Special Forces are going to come out after that. I think they're going to get clapped. then I think we're going to get Majin Ku and Majin Du on the scene. And I think that could be a lot more serious. So, my thing I like about that the most is that they actually reached the first Demon World in this episode, and that's what I want to talk about the most. There were theories online, especially after last week's slowness, that it was going to take a few episodes to reach the first Demon World, and then we're going to get the finale stuff. What I enjoy a lot is that we're here now. We made it in episode 14 to the first Demon World. We've got 6 episodes left, 15 through 20, by all reports that there's going to be 20 episodes. So, if that's how much we have left, we do have ample room for this showdown, even a conclusion. We have a lot of good room here. So I'm hoping we make use of that. I'm hoping this is going to be like these next few weeks, really from 16 onward, because the final like quarter of the series. I'm really hoping we're seeing the payoff that DAIMA is going to hand to us, right? Very cool, very cool. So that's all my positive. I got through that in about, what, 10 minutes? Yeah, 11 minutes. Let's quickly talk about my negative. I really only have one major negative point to make. The only negative major point I really have to make is that the episode feels slow. Call me crazy. You are free to disagree with this. If you type, hey, voltage in the comments, I don't think the episode was slow. I respect that. You don't have to agree with me, and I'm not even saying this like an objective opinion or anything like that. I am just saying the episode felt like it was slow. Like it didn't, like we got some stuff accomplished, but real talk, we get about 3 things with one mini scene, right? I'm not the biggest, like, it's not that more had to happen, but it just, I don't know, it feels like it's dragging its feet. It feels like the Gendarmerie moment is dragged out really far. It feels like the Neva showcase is really far. And let me ask you why. You would see the spectacle, you don't think so at all. How long was Goku falling? Remember that Goku was actively falling during all this. Not in the dense environment of the 3D Demon World. He's falling through normal air. Think about how long it feels, this scene, with the two, right? Especially because he does the spell twice to throw one at the top, one at the bottom. Couldn't have known one that would hit both. These are minor criticisms, by the way, minor. But like I said, I'm going to be real with y'all. And then the convenience store is pretty good. And then the ending scene, it's maybe a teensy bit slow, but not really. It's already near the end of the episode. So it's really those two that drag their feet the most, in my opinion. And then things kind of ramp up. But that whole, like, to hit the midpoint of the episode is already 15 minutes in. It's where we get that midpoint. So all that last, like, speed stuff happens in the last 6 minutes, something like that. So, fair points to be made. Final thing, don't miss this. Notice how Glorio took one of the Dragon Balls. He took one when it was supposed to be blue guy. I'm forgetting his name again, man. I can't remember. It's the somebody I'm talking about. But he's supposed to take the 2 Dragon Balls. And instead, he took one because Glorio offered to take the other. Glorio's betrayal should be coming in very soon, which means that Rinsu's likely going to have another Dragon Ball at her disposal. And finally, let's talk about the ending preview. So the preview shows us, the episode is called Third Eye. Now, I've had my my theory that Blue Homie on his belt has the third eye. That's what it is. It's this living eye he found in the mountains. Come on. That to me is the third eye. He gets taken out, Dragon Ball gets taken, and if it's Rinsu of all people, that's 3 Dragon Balls. If not, Goma gets the third eye, and we get to see its crazy power. So, they're having their fight. Most of the scene is just them fighting, except for a flashback of Ghidorah. He's handing something, some little scepter, what it looks like, I'm guessing to Goma, where we're going to learn what the third eye is and what it can do. So look forward to that next week. If you enjoyed this review, leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and of course subscribe if you want to see more. We're aiming for 400 subscribers as our next big goal. Stick around for Sparking Zero content. We'll be dropping again this week. So if you've been, waiting for some more Dragon Ball that's not the card game, then I have a surprise for you or a gift for you. We're going to be checking this out, and the trailer dropped, and it was amazing. Maybe I'll do a little video covering that. We'll see. But all things considered, it's going to be all for me. So a video recommended to you on the top of your screen, something else from the channel that YouTube thinks you'll like, maybe check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your nights, days, evenings, mornings, whatever times you're watching this, and I'll catch y'all next time. Voltage out.